The Tortoise and the Rabbit. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there lived a rabbit who was very proud of his speed. He loved boasting to the other animals, "No one can run faster than me." One day, the rabbit saw a slow-moving tortoise and decided to tease him. "Hey, slowpoke, do you ever even reach where you're going?" The tortoise, though slow, was wise and calm. He replied, "Maybe I'm slow, but I can beat you in a race." The rabbit burst out laughing. "You beat me? That's hilarious. Fine, let's race. Tomorrow we'll run to the big tree at the edge of the forest." The next morning, all the animals gathered to watch. The race began, and as expected, the rabbit dashed off, leaving the tortoise far behind. But soon the rabbit grew bored and decided to take a nap under a shady tree. Meanwhile, the tortoise kept walking steadily, step by step, never stopping or looking back. Slowly but surely, he passed the sleeping rabbit and approached the finish line. When the rabbit woke up, he saw the tortoise near the big tree. He ran as fast as he could, but it was too late. The tortoise had already crossed the finish line. The animals cheered, and the tortoise said, "Slow and steady wins the race." The rabbit hung his head in shame, but learned a valuable lesson. Moral of the story: hard work and perseverance are more important than overconfidence and carelessness. The Thirsty Crow. On one shiny day there was a crow. His name was Crowny. Crowny was very thirsty. He flew all over the field in search of water. After a couple of hours, he didn't find the water. He got nervous and started crying a lot. He became weak and was not even able to fly anymore. He almost gave up the hope. He again started preparing himself for a bit more exertion. He started searching water again. After some time, he sat on a branch of a tree. Suddenly, he saw a jug under the tree. He flew straight down to see if there was any water inside. Oh yes, it was his luck he found some water inside the jug. Crowny tried to drink that water. He tried a lot, but he was failed. Then he tried to push his head into the jug. Sadly, he got that the neck of the jug was too narrow. Then he felt that he should push the jug down, and then the water will flow out, and he will easily drink it. But that was also not possible. The jug was too heavy to move. He thought that he should leave it as it is. Suddenly, he started looking here and there. He saw many pebbles around him. Immediately, he got an idea. He started picking up the pebble one by one in his beak and drop each into the jug. After some time, as more and more pebble dropped in the jug and the water level kept rising. Soon, it was high enough for Crowny to drink the water sufficiently. He thought that his idea worked and helped him quench his thirst. Morale of the story: there's always a solution to a problem if we try hard enough. The Foolish Dog. Bruno was very young and sharp, but he was also proudy. Actually, Bruno was a young dog. He always wanted to take more than he had. One day, Bruno went to market, and he had stolen one big juicy bone from the market. He carried that bone in his mouth and ran away in the search of a safe place where he could enjoy it. After some time, Bruno was far away from the market. Suddenly, he came near a lake, which had very clear water. He started to walk across it, enjoying his time with that bone. Suddenly, he felt someone is also walking with him. He looked down into the water and wondered, there was another dog with a juicy bone in his mouth. Actually, he didn't got that he was looking at himself. He thought, I had one juicy bone with me. If I got his bone also, Then no need to search any other bone at least for 2 days. I should grab his bone also and run away as fast as I can. After all, I had done this earlier. But bad luck. He was so foolish and greedy. As he was looking at himself into the water, when he opens his mouth to grab another bone, his own piece dropped into the lake and sank to the bottom. He didn't know how to swim. Now he was hungry, but he was helpless. He returned with his hunger, leaving the dog in that lake with nothing in the end. His greed made him fool. Moral of the story: be satisfied with what you have. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There was a boy. His name was Sam. He was a shepherd, and his duty was to look after a flock of sheep. Sam was very naughty and a great liar. He enjoys very much while irritate the villagers. One day Sam felt bored and decided to play a trick on the villagers. As he was a caretaker of a flock of sheep, his duty was to look after the villagers' sheep and save them from the wolf. He decided to shout loudly, "Help! Help! Wolf is here, eating our sheeps." And he did that. The villagers heard his voice and thought that he might be in a danger and we have to save him and our sheeps. Soon they reached him, and they found that there was no wolf. They were surprised. Sam started laughing at them. "Hey, hey! See, I fooled you." Villagers got that Sam was playing a trick on them. They got angry, but they forgave him. Days passed on. Few months later, Sam again felt bored, and he did the same trick again. Again and again he shouted, "Help! Help! Wolf is here! Please help!" Again villagers rushed him, but they found that Sam had tricked them. Sam enjoyed his trick very much and did this again and again. One day, Sam was on the hill with his flock of sheep. Suddenly, a wolf went into the field. One by one, he started pouncing the sheep. Sam got frightened and ran towards the village, shouting, "Please help somebody! Wolf is in the field, and he pounced our sheep." Villagers heard his cries, but they ignored him. They thought he must be playing one more trick. Sam pleaded them and said, "Please believe me. This time I am not lying." Finally, villagers agreed to trust him. As they reached there, they saw the wolf is running away, and the sheep were lying on the ground. This time, Sam was right, but no one had believed him. Moral: always tell the truth, or no one will trust you. The Fox in a Vineyard. Summer season had started. Vineyard was full of juicy grapes. Everyone wanted to eat those grapes while coming nearer to the vineyard. One day the fox was walking across the field, and soon he came nearer to the vineyard. He was very hungry, and he could see bunches of juicy grapes. Fox looked around him and make sure that no one is watching him, and he is safe from hunters. He decided to steal some bunches to eat. He started trying to get the grapes. Several times he used to jump and try to catch those bunches, but it was just too high for him. He was not ready to give up and go back. After some couple of hours, he stopped jumping on a same place. After that, he decided to take some running steps. He took some steps and leapt into the air towards the grapes. Oh, bad luck! He again failed to reach the bunch of grapes. He tried every trick which he knew, but every time he was failed. Time passed and shiny day turned into dark. At last, Fox got angry. His legs started paining cause of his continuous jumping and running. In the dark, he was not even able to see those bunches. After his endless efforts failed, he stopped trying. As he walked away, he said to himself, "I really don't need those grapes. I know that they are too sour to eat." Moral of the story. If we didn't got what we want, it doesn't mean that it is not worth having it. The Four Brahmins. Once upon a time, in a small village, there were four young Brahmins who were best friends. They loved learning and spent all their time studying ancient scriptures. However, they often argued about what was more important, knowledge or wisdom. One day, they decided to travel to a distant kingdom to find work. On their way, they found the bones of a lion lying in the forest. The first Brahmin said, "We should test our knowledge. Let's bring this lion back to life." The second Brahmin said, "Yes, I can join the bones together." The third Brahmin said, "I can add flesh and skin." The fourth Brahmin, who was wise, warned them, "Stop! If you bring the lion to life, it might attack us." But the other three ignored his advice and used their knowledge to bring the lion back to life. As soon as the lion opened its eyes, it roared and pounced on them. The wise Brahmin quickly climbed a tree and saved himself. The other three, despite their great knowledge, were not wise enough to see the danger and were caught by the lion. Morale of the story. Knowledge is powerful, but without wisdom, it can be dangerous. The Clever Monkey and the Crocodile. Once upon a time, in a lush green jungle, there was a clever monkey who lived on a big tree by a river. The tree was full of delicious, juicy fruits. One day, a hungry crocodile came swimming by. The monkey saw him and said, "You look tired and hungry. Would you like some fruits?" The crocodile replied, "Oh yes, I'm very hungry." The kind monkey plucked some fruits and threw them down to the crocodile. The crocodile loved the sweet taste and came back every day for more fruits. Soon they became good friends. One day, the crocodile's wife became curious about the monkey. She said to her husband, "If the fruits are so sweet, the monkey's heart must be even sweeter. Bring me the monkey's heart for dinner." The crocodile was shocked, but didn't want to upset his wife. So, he hatched a plan to trick the monkey. The next day, the crocodile said to the monkey, "Dear friend, my wife has invited you to our home for lunch. Climb on my back, and I'll take you across the river." The monkey happily agreed and jumped onto the crocodile's back. But as they reached the middle of the river, the crocodile said, "I must tell you the truth. My wife wants to eat your heart." The monkey was startled but didn't panic. He quickly thought of a clever plan. "Oh, dear friend," the monkey said, "why didn't you tell me earlier? I left my heart back on the tree. Let's go back and get it." The crocodile believed the monkey and swam back to the riverbank. As soon as they reached the tree, the monkey leaped off the crocodile's back and climbed to the top of the tree. "Foolish crocodile," the monkey laughed. "How can anyone take their heart out and leave it behind? You tried to trick me, but I'm smarter than you." The crocodile felt ashamed and swam away, never to bother the monkey again. Moral of the story: quick thinking and intelligence can help you outsmart even the trickiest situations. Always use your wit to stay safe. The Golden Egg. In a village, there lived Mr. Meta with his wife. He used to live his life happily by selling the eggs laid by the flock of geese. From this, he used to get sufficient money for survival. One day, to his surprise, he found a new beautiful goose in his flock of geese. This goose was different from the other ones, as this one would lay golden egg. Mr. Meta was so happy and surprised. Days passed on. Mr. Meta became richer and richer every day. He then became the richest person in the entire village. He wanted to become even more richer. Then one day a foolish thought came to his mind. He said to his wife, "This goose should be having a lot of gold inside it. It's better not to wait and get all the gold at once." Mr. Meta then brutally killed that goose and found no gold inside it. He was shocked and so disheartened to find no gold inside it. Later on, there was no goose and no golden egg. Moral of the story: a person with a greedy nature wants everything soon, but generally they end up with nothing in their hand. The Bear and the Two Friends. Once upon a time, in a peaceful forest, two friends named Ravi and Manu loved to go on adventures together. They were best friends and did everything as a team. One sunny morning, they decided to explore the deeper parts of the forest where they had never been before. As they walked along the winding path, they laughed, collected shiny stones, and admired the chirping birds. Suddenly, they heard a loud growl. Grrr! A big brown bear came out of the bushes, looking hungry and grumpy. Ravi and Manu froze in fear. Ravi, who was quick on his feet, ran to the nearest tree and climbed it without thinking about Manu. From the safety of the branches, he yelled, "Manu, find a place to hide!" Poor Manu didn't know how to climb trees. He stood trembling, but then he remembered something his grandfather had told him. Bears don't bother with things they think are dead. So Manu quickly lay down on the ground, closed his eyes, and stayed as still as a rock. The bear sniffed all around him. It came so close that Manu could feel its warm breath on his face. But Manu stayed perfectly still. After a while, the bear lost interest and lumbered back into the forest. Once the bear was gone, Ravi climbed down from the tree. "That was close. Manu, what did the bear whisper in your ear?" he joked, trying to lighten the mood. Manu stood up, dusted himself off, and said, "The bear told me to choose my friends wisely. A real friend doesn't leave you behind when danger comes." Ravi felt very ashamed of himself. "I'm so sorry, Manu. I should have stayed and helped you. Can you forgive me?" Manu smiled. "I forgive you, Ravi. But let's promise to always stick together from now on, no matter what." And from that day forward, Ravi and Manu kept their promise. They learned that true friendship means staying by each other's side, especially when times are tough. Moral of the story: a true friend is someone who stands by you in times of trouble. The Fox and the Crow. Once upon a time, in a dense forest full of tall trees and chirping birds, a hungry fox named Rani roamed in search of food. Rani had sleek orange fur, a long bushy tail, and sharp, twinkling eyes that never missed anything. On the branch of a tall tree sat a crow named Kalu, with glossy black feathers and a shiny beak. Kalu was holding a big piece of cheese in his beak, which he had found near a farmhouse. Rani's sharp nose caught the smell of the cheese, and her stomach rumbled. "Oh, that cheese looks delicious! But how can I get it from Kalu?" Rani thought to herself. Suddenly, Rani had an idea. She walked gracefully to the tree and looked up. "Good morning, Kalu," she called out. "Your feathers shine like the midnight sky. You must be the most beautiful bird in the forest." Kalu puffed up with pride, holding the cheese tightly in his beak. Rani continued, "I've also heard that your voice is the sweetest of all birds. Won't you sing a song for me? It would make my day." Kalu loved compliments and wanted to show off his voice. Forgetting the cheese in his beak, he opened his mouth and cawed loudly. Caw! Caw! The moment Kalu opened his beak, the piece of cheese fell to the ground. Quick as a flash, Rani grabbed it and ran a little distance away. As Rani ate the cheese, she chuckled and said, "Thank you, Kalu. You are truly beautiful, but remember, flattery can be a trap." Kalu felt embarrassed, but learned an important lesson. "You're right, Rani. Next time, I'll be careful not to be fooled by sweet words." From that day, Kalu became wiser, and Rani learned to be grateful for what she had. Moral of the story: beware of flattery. Use your wisdom to see through clever tricks. The Wise Ant and the Jolly Grasshopper. On a bright, sunny day, Gigi the grasshopper hopped and sang through the meadow. He loved to play his tiny fiddle, making beautiful music that filled the air. Nearby, Annie the ant and her friends were busy gathering food. They carried tiny grains of wheat to their cozy anthill, working hard under the warm sun. Gigi laughed and called out, "Annie, why do you work so much?" "The sun is shining. Let's sing and dance instead." Annie smiled and said, "Winter is coming, Gigi. We need to collect food so we won't be hungry when the cold arrives." But Gigi just shook his head. "Winter is far away. There's plenty of time." He twirled and played his fiddle, enjoying the warm breeze. Days passed, and soon cold winds began to blow. The leaves fell, and white snowflakes covered the ground. Gigi shivered in the cold. His tummy rumbled. There was no food left to eat. He hopped to Annie's anthill and knocked on the door. "Annie, I am so cold and hungry. Please help me," Gigi pleaded. Annie felt sorry for Gigi. She shared some food and said gently, "Next time, Gigi, remember to work hard before winter. It's good to have fun, but we must also be wise and prepare for the future." Gigi nodded. He learned an important lesson that day. And next summer, Gigi still played his music, but he also helped Annie collect food, making sure he was ready for winter. Moral of the story: work today for a better tomorrow. The Greedy Lion. Once upon a time, there was an old and lazy lion in the forest of Cape Town. His name was Shere Khan. He was very cunning and a big liar. Every time he used to fool others. One day, Shere Khan felt too weak. He was even not able to hunt for food. He thought, "If I don't eat food, I'll surely die. I have to do something for myself." Then he got an idea. He knew that if he sit out of his cave holding his head, then surely every animal would come to visit him. His cunning plan worked. He sat under a largest tree out of his cave and signed, "Oh my God, I am very sick. Very soon I'll die." The squirrels on the tree heard him and told to other animals of the forest. All animals felt pity for Shere Khan, and they came to visit him with some fruits, grass, nuts, and vegetables. One by one, animals came to visit the lion, but nobody came back from his cave. After some days, Shere Khan became healthy and handsome. As we all know, only because of eating all those animals that came to meet him with generosity and love. One by one he hunted. The squirrels, rabbits, deers, monkeys, and many animals of the forest. One day, one fox named Jack came to see the lion. He was very intelligent and smart. He stood on the entrance of the cave and asked Shere Khan, "How are you today, my healthy friend? Hope you are feeling well now." Cunning Lion replied, "Oh no, I am still very weak and will die soon. Even you are so far I can hardly see you. Please come closer. Then at least I can see you." Jack replied, "Oh no, my dear, I know who are you and what you had done with all those lovable animals who came to help you and give you food for your health. I can clearly see that you had eaten them all. I can see the bones of those dead animals in your cave. Shere Khan stood silent, and Jack goes back. But the lost animal of the forest had never came again. Moral of the story: don't be so generous for all. It may bring some hidden dangers. The Tortoise and the Eagle. Once upon a time, there was a tortoise. Tortoise was never satisfied for what he had. He always felt bored. Even he lived on the sweat grass by the forest pool. One day, Tortoise was in his same mood. He was looking at the sky blankly. He noticed that a large eagle was flying overhead. It looked very easy, enjoyable, and graceful. Tortoise felt, "Why not I also fly like eagle? I would learn how to fly too." Tortoise tried a lot to fly, but was not succeed. After some time, Eagle came down near a pool to drink water and to rest on a rock. Tortoise thought, "It's a golden chance. I should plead Eagle to teach me to fly." He came near to the eagle and said, "Oh, you are such a handsome eagle that I had ever seen in my life. You fly so well. Please don't mind, but teach me to fly like you." The eagle was amazed. He said, "What? Teach you how to fly? Are you out of your mind? You have no feathers or wings. How could you fly?" Again, Tortoise requested, "Oh, please, please, please. Eagle, please teach me how to fly. I am sure I can learn to fly." Finally, Eagle agreed to teach Tortoise how to fly. He picked up Tortoise with his claws and flew high in the sky. After giving flying demonstration, Eagle allowed Tortoise to go and move his legs and fly. Tortoise flapped his legs as hard as he can, but he was failed to fly. Whenever he flapped his legs to fly, he fell down like a heavy stone towards the ground. But he was lucky. Every time he fell into the bush. He was bruised and badly shaken, but luckily he didn't have any serious injuries. After this foolish situation, he never tried to fly again. Moral of the story: doing everything is not always possible. You should know your limits, or it will harm you. Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a poor boy named Jack who lived with his mother. One day, Jack's mother told him to sell their only cow. Jack went to the market, and on the way, he met a man who wanted to buy his cow. Jack asked, "What will you give me in return for my cow?" The man answered, "I will give you 5 magic beans." Jack took the magic beans and gave the man the cow. But when he reached home, Jack's mother was very angry. She said, "You fool! He took away your cow and gave you some beans." She threw the beans out of the window. Jack was very sad and went to sleep without dinner. The next day, when Jack woke up in the morning and looked out of the window, he saw that a huge beanstalk had grown from his magic beans. He climbed up the beanstalk and reached a kingdom in the sky. There lived a giant and his wife. Jack went inside the house and found the giant's wife in the kitchen. Jack said, "Could you please give me something to eat? I am so hungry." The kind wife gave him bread and some milk. While he was eating, the giant came home. The giant was very big and looked very fearsome. Jack was terrified and went and hid inside. The giant cried, "Fee, fee, fo, fum, I smell the blood of a man. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." The wife said, "There is no boy in here." So the giant ate his food and then went to his room. He took out his sacks of gold coins, counted them, and kept them aside. Then he went to sleep. In the night, Jack crept out of his hiding place. took one sack of gold coins and climbed down the beanstalk. At home, he gave the coins to his mother. His mother was very happy, and they lived well for some time. Jack climbed the beanstalk and went to the giant's house again. Once again, Jack asked the giant's wife for food. But while he was eating, the giant returned. Jack leapt up in fright and went and hid under the bed. The giant cried, "Fee fo fum, I smell the blood of a man. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." The wife said, "There is no boy in here." The giant ate his food and went to his room. There he took out a hen. He shouted, "Lay!" and the hen laid a golden egg. When the giant fell asleep, Jack took the hen and climbed down the beanstalk. Jack's mother was very happy with him. After some days, Jack once again climbed the beanstalk and went to the giant's castle. For the third time, Jack met the giant's wife and asked for some food. Once again, the giant's wife gave him bread and milk. But while Jack was eating, the giant came home. "Fee fo fum, I smell the blood of a man. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread," cried the giant. "Don't be silly. There is no boy in here," said his wife. The giant had a magical harp that could play beautiful songs. While the giant slept, Jack took the harp and was about to leave. Suddenly, the magic harp cried, "Help, master! A boy is stealing me." The giant woke up and saw Jack with the harp. Furious, he ran after Jack, but Jack was too fast for him. He ran down the beanstalk and reached home. The giant followed him down. Jack quickly ran inside his house and fetched an axe. He began to chop the beanstalk. The giant fell and died. Jack and his mother were now very rich, and they lived happily ever after. Moral of the story: greed can lead to danger, so be careful how much you take. Salt Merchant and Lazy Donkey. Once upon a time, there was a salt merchant. He was very rich and hard-working trader. His name was Sam. Sam had a donkey. His name was Bobby. Bobby was lazy and always tries to run away from the work. One day, Sam took Bobby to the seaside. There he bought 2 large bags of salt to sell. He led Bobby with those large bags. Bobby felt uncomfortable and struggled under his heavy load. While passing through the stream, Bobby slipped and fell into the water. He stood, and he realized that his load was much lighter. He was happy to discover that the salt had been melted in the water. Sam took him back to buy some more bags of salt. When they came near to the stream, Bobby again slipped and fell into the water. He remembered what had happened earlier, and his load again became lighter. Sam caught his trick. Again, he took him back to buy some more goods. But third time, he refilled the bags with cotton instead of salt. After some time, when they reached near to the stream, Bobby fell into the stream on the purpose to lighter his load. Okay, he was surprised. This time, his load was heavier than before. Actually, the cotton soaked up the water. That's why his load became heavier. Bobby was surprised. The time, his master played his trick on him. Moral of the story: don't play more tricks, or they might be played on you. The Vain Stag. Once in the jungle of Turkey, there lived a very vain stag. Her name was Clooney. Clooney was ugly, but she had handsome antlers. She was proudly cause of her antlers. She always used to admire her reflection at a pond of the jungle. But she was not happy with the shape of her legs. Clooney would take sigh, saying, "It will have a blast if I look good from head to toe, and I wish that I had beautiful legs too." One day, Clooney was busy admiring herself at the pond. Suddenly, she got frightened and ran away as fast as she could. Actually, she realized that hunting dogs were approaching. Oh, hard luck! She ran into the jungle, but her antlers caught among the low branches of tree. Clooney got frightened and used her strong legs to help herself. Hunting dogs were coming near to her, she realized, and struggled more to get free. Finally, with the help of her strong legs, she succeeds to get free from the low branches of tree. She managed to escape from the hunting dogs by running faster than she had never run before. She realized that she saved only because of her strong legs. Clooney realized her antlers are beautiful, but they are useless. In fact, her legs are ugly but are helpful every time. At last, Clooney never again worried about her legs, and she started loving them more than her antlers. Moral of the story: the uses of things are more important than its beauty. The Honest Woodcutter. Once upon a time, in a little village near a big forest, there lived a kind and hard-working woodcutter named Ram. Every day, Ram went into the forest to chop wood and sell it in the market. He was poor, but he was happy because he loved his work and always told the truth. One sunny day, Ram was chopping wood near a sparkling blue river. Suddenly, his axe slipped from his hands and fell into the water. "Oh no!" Ram cried. "What will I do without my axe?" He sat by the riverbank, feeling very sad. Just then, a magical fairy appeared from the water. She had glowing wings, a flowing dress, and a warm smile. "Why are you so sad, kind woodcutter?" she asked. Ram told her about his lost axe. The fairy said, "Don't worry. I will help you." She dove into the river and came back with a shiny golden axe. "Is this your axe?" she asked. Ram shook his head. "No, that is not my axe. Mine was plain and made of iron." The fairy smiled and went back into the river. This time, she brought out a silver axe. "Is this your axe?" she asked again. Ram said, "No, that is not mine either." Finally, the fairy returned with an old iron axe. "Is this your axe?" she asked. Ram's face lit up. "Yes." "That is my axe!" he exclaimed happily. The fairy was very pleased with Ram's honesty. She said, "You are a truthful man, Ram. As a reward, I will give you the golden and silver axes too." Ram couldn't believe his eyes. He thanked the fairy with all his heart and went home with the 3 axes, feeling very lucky and proud of his honesty. From that day on, Ram's story was told all over the village, teaching everyone that being truthful is the best way to live. Moral of the story: honesty is always rewarded. The 3 Pig Brothers. Once upon a time, there were 3 pig brothers named Timmy, Tommy, and Teddy. They decided to leave their mother's home and build houses of their own. Timmy, the youngest pig, wanted to finish quickly so he could play. He built a house out of straw. "This will be fast and easy," he said. Tommy, the middle pig, put in a little more effort and built his house out of sticks. "It's stronger than straw, but doesn't take too much time," he thought. Teddy, the eldest pig, worked hard and built a strong house out of bricks. "It's a lot of work, but it will keep me safe," he said, wiping the sweat off his brow. One day, a big bad wolf came by Timmy's straw house. He knocked on the door and said, little pig, let me come in." Timmy squealed, "Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down," growled the wolf. With one big puff, the straw house flew apart. Timmy ran to Tommy's stick house. The wolf followed and knocked on the stick house. Little pigs, let me come in, the brothers shouted. Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, roared the wolf. He huffed and puffed, and the stick house fell apart. Timmy and Tommy ran to Teddy's brick house. The wolf, feeling confident, went to the brick house and knocked. Little pigs, let me come in. Teddy firmly replied, Not by the hair on our chinny chin chins. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down, yelled the wolf. He huffed and puffed with all his might, but the brick house didn't budge. Frustrated, the wolf tried to climb down the chimney. But Teddy had a clever plan. He lit a fire and placed a pot of boiling water in the fireplace. When the wolf came down, he fell right into the pot, yelped in pain, and ran away, never to return. The three brothers celebrated their safety and hugged each other tightly. Timmy and Tommy thanked Teddy for building such a strong house, and learned that hard work and preparation were worth it. Moral of the story: hard work, patience, and planning always pay off. Taking shortcuts may seem easy, but true safety and success come from effort and wisdom. The Magic Pot and the Kind Little Girl. In a small village by a big green forest, there lived a kind little girl named Lily. One day, while playing near a stream, she found a shiny little pot buried in the ground. It had golden handles and sparkled in the sunlight. Lily took the pot home and cleaned it. Suddenly, the pot began to glow. A gentle voice whispered, I am a magic pot. I will give you whatever you need, but only if you share with others. Lily placed some rice inside the pot, and to her surprise, it kept multiplying. She gave food to her family, neighbours, and all the hungry children in the village. Everyone was happy and full. One day, a greedy man saw Lily's magic pot and wanted it for himself. He snatched it and tried to use it without sharing. But instead of food, the pot overflowed with mud and covered him from head to toe. He ran back to Lily, begging for forgiveness. The greedy man promised to be kind, and Lily forgave him. From that day on, the magic pot continued to help the village, and everyone learned that sharing and kindness bring true happiness. Moral of the story: forgiveness and kindness bring people together. The Pied Piper of Hamelin. Once upon a time, in the bustling town of Hamelin, trouble was brewing. The town was overrun by mischievous rats. They scurried everywhere, nibbling on food, chewing through clothes, and even sneaking into beds. The townsfolk tried everything, but the rats wouldn't leave. They were at their wits' end when a mysterious man appeared in the town square. He wore a colourful cloak, and his hat had a long feather. His most striking feature was the flute he carried. I am the Pied Piper, he said with a bow. I can rid your town of rats, but it will cost you 50 gold coins. The mayor, desperate to save Hamelin, quickly agreed. Rid us of the rats, and you'll have your reward. The Pied Piper smiled and lifted his flute. He began to play a strange, enchanting melody. The notes danced through the air, reaching every corner of Hamelin. One by one, the rats poked their heads out of their hiding spots, mesmerized by the music. They followed the piper as he strolled through the streets, out of the town and toward the river. There the rats jumped in and floated away, never to return. The townsfolk cheered and celebrated, but the mayor was cunning. Why pay him 50 gold coins for such an easy task? He whispered to his advisers. When the piper returned for his reward, the mayor handed him only 5 coins. "Take this and be gone," he said. The piper's eyes darkened. "You promised me 50 coins. If ye break your word, you will regret it." The mayor laughed. "What can a mere musician do?" The piper said nothing. He raised his flute and began to play again. But this time, the melody was different, sweet and lilting, like a lullaby. This tune was magical too. But it wasn't the rats who followed. One by one, the town's children came out of their homes, enchanted by the music. They followed the piper as he walked through the streets and into the mountains. The townsfolk tried to stop him, but no one could break the spell. The piper and the children disappeared into a hidden cave. Realizing their mistake, the mayor and townsfolk pleaded for forgiveness. "We'll pay you all the gold you asked for," they cried. The piper, moved by the parents' tears, returned the children. But he left them with a stern warning: "Keep your promises or you'll lose more than gold." From that day on, the people of Hamelin learned to be honest and keep their word. The town flourished, and no one ever broke a promise again. Moral of the story: always keep your promises, for trust is priceless. The Bundle of Sticks. Once upon a time, an old farmer lived in a small village with his 2 sons. His sons always argued and never worked together. The farmer worried about what would happen to them when he was gone. One day, he called his sons and handed each of them a stick. "Can you break it?" he asked. The sons easily broke their sticks. Then the farmer tied all the sticks together into a bundle and gave it to them. "Now try to break this bundle," he said. The sons tried and tried, but couldn't break the bundle. The farmer smiled and said, "You see, my dear sons, when the sticks were alone, they were easy to break. But together, they were strong. If you stay united like this bundle, no one can harm you. But if you fight and stand alone, you will be weak." From that day, the sons stopped arguing and worked together as a family. Morale of the story: unity makes us strong. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who always wore a red hood. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said, "Grandma is sick. Please take this basket of goodies to her, but stay on the path and don't talk to strangers." Little Red Riding Hood said, "Yes, Mama," and happily skipped into the forest. While walking, she met a big grey wolf. The wolf said, "Hello, little girl. Where are you going?" "I'm going to Grandma's house," she said. The wolf grinned. "Is that so? Where does she live?" "At the end of the forest, in a little cottage," she said. The wolf ran off quickly, and Little Red Riding Hood didn't think much about it. When she reached Grandma's house, the door was open. She went inside and saw her grandma in bed. But Grandma looked strange. "Grandma, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf in a squeaky voice. "Grandma, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with," said the wolf. "Grandma, what big teeth you have!" "All the better to eat you with," growled the wolf, jumping out of bed. Just then, a kind woodcutter heard the noise and ran inside. He scared the wolf away and helped Grandma, who was hiding safely in the closet. Grandma hugged Little Red Riding Hood and said, "Always listen to your mother and stay safe." Little Red Riding Hood learned to always stay on the path and never talk to strangers again. Moral of the story: always follow your parents' advice and be careful around strangers.